And viewers, a fresh controversy has broken out over Election Commission's actions amidst the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. As we await Phase 3 on May 7th, the poll bodies published the voter turnout figures for the first two phases. The first phase voter turnout was 66.14%, a drop of 4% from Phase 1 in 2019. And the second phase turnout was 66.71%, a drop of 3 points. However, the final voter turnouts being published have led to major contentions being raised by the opposition. CPM points out that final numbers are significantly higher than the initial figures, and from this it infers that quote-unquote apprehensions of manipulation of results continue. Congress leaders have also pointed out that earlier the ECI would publish data within 24 hours, but that wasn't the case this time round.
11-day delay in putting out detailed turnout data in the first phase. 4-day delay in putting out detailed turnout data in the second phase is unheard of, unprecedented and unacceptable. हमने कई शिकायतें की कि हर एक राज्य में बीजेपी के उम्मीदवार धार्मिक प्रतीकों के आधार पर अपना प्रचार कर रहे हैं. ये मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट का उल्लंघन है.
And after allegations, poll panel has countered the delay charge. As per Election Commission sources, the narrative about non-disclosure of data is completely unfounded and misplaced. Giving a pointed rebuttal to opposition parties, Election Commission sources have told Times Now that figures which were released yesterday were published on the voter turnout app on the polling day, on the subsequent day of the polling itself. It was, of course, updated a day later, and poll panel also detailed the data collection process, saying that sometimes there is delay that happens from data as far as the polling booths are concerned, because it takes time to reach the various headquarters locally there due to difficult geographical and weather conditions. The BJP, however, isn't buying the opposition's claim of manipulation. Speaking to Group Editor-in-Chief Navika Kumar, Home Minister Amit Shah has dismissed any scope of wrongdoing by spelling out the polling procedure. Listen in.
दो प्रकार से आज भी चुनाव में वोटिंग हो रही है. जैसे मेरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में आज सरकारी अफसरों का वोटिंग होता है. उसमें सभी कैंडिडेट्स को अपना पोलिंग एजेंट बिठाना होता है. वोट पेटी वोटिंग के बाद सील कर दी जाती है और वहाँ एक सर्टिफिकेट मिलती है कि इस बैलेट बॉक्स के अंदर इतने वोट पड़े हैं और इस पर साइन लिया जाता है. इसी तरह से जो मशीन है वो भी सील की जाती थी और इस पर भी साइन होते हैं. इससे कोई छेड़खानी नहीं कर सकता. ये सबको मालूम है, मगर हार वो अभी से देख पा रहे हैं, इसलिए हार का जवाब अभी से तैयार करें.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the show is Kailash Adhikari, MD of Governance Now. Also with us is Sanjay Jha, author, Professor Monojit Mandal, political analyst, Ghanshyam Tiwari, Samajwadi Party spokesperson. Sanju Verma continues from debate number 1. Let me start with you first, Sanjay Jha, and let me begin by asking you, the Election Commission, what it says is that there is nothing to hide. All of this was published on the voter turnout app, which is available to any citizen who has a mobile phone here in India, can download that app, and within real time, every 2 hours that data is updated. Nothing has changed as far as the processes are concerned, and this is nothing but actually much ado about nothing that opposition parties are talking about. Your response to that?
Madhav, the first problem is that there has been a serious credibility with the Election Commission. So now what happens is that the trust deficit with the Election Commission is skyrocketing high, and with enough and substantial justification. Well, if you want to go back, then let's start by talking about how the Election Commission has been reconstituted, right? With the Chief Justice of India is out, and now there are people chosen literally by the government. These could be factotums or handmaidens of the government. So one has to just hope and pray that they will be dispassionate and neutral.
Sanjay, just to clarify that point, when the Prime Minister was asked this question recently, he said that that law was brought in, the Election Commission and Chief Election Commissioner Selection Act was brought in at the behest of the Supreme Court order, which made way for it, made room for it. And he also said that before that particular court order, the system was that the Prime Minister or the powers that be would then just sign an executive order and select the persons. Now you have a system where there is an opposition leader who is actually present as part of the panel, so there are more safeguards in place. Please respond to that.
That's like the Prime Minister telling another person in an interview that the electoral bond was the most transparent mechanism for
Madhav, you
actually
don't allow me
fishing
to
out
digress
black
from the
money.
issue.
So let's not go down that road.
Why is it that you
Please allow me to conduct the debate. Sanjay, I'm asking him a question. I will ask you questions also. Please allow me to conduct the debate. Yeah.
No, because you are not fair to me.
I am absolutely fair to you, ma'am. If I ask you a question, you may actually say I'm interrupting you. I am asking a clarification. I will see clarifications from you also if you require so. Let him complete the point that he's making.
Clarifications from the Congress.
Okay,
Yes,
Madhav,
I will ask you also for clarifications. Please don't worry. Yeah.
Madhav, I have not said so before, but now I will say so publicly. But if this BJP spokesperson is coming in another program of yours, kindly don't invite us for it, because we don't like this acrimonious and unpleasant bitterness on the show. We are not like that, and I don't want to.
Sanjay, I am asking you a question. Please respond to me. You don't have to address her at all. Please respond to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So here is my point, Madhav, that end of day, if you look at even the hate speeches made by Mr. Modi, did the notices go to Mr. Modi? They went to JP Nadda, who's the president. We are and the number of model code of conduct violations that have been done. Frankly speaking, Mr. Modi should have been disqualified by now. He should have been stopped from public campaigning after his hate speech. So the credibility of the EC is low. Now, what is the opposition saying? And by the way, it's not just the opposition, Madhav. I've been tracking a lot of people who are respected psephologists and political analysts. And all of them are clear that, firstly, it is very intriguing that the disclosure of the final voting figures is given after 11 days.
Well, that's the point. That's the point I was just making, Sanjay, that it's actually been published in the Voter Turnout app on the very next day. The very same figures that were published yesterday or made officially released by the Election Commission were there on that particular app. Perhaps you can criticize them for not having formally published them, but they say that it was all in the public domain. But Sanju Verma, and also, of course, the point that even Mr. Rahul Gandhi's notice actually went to his party president. But Sanju Verma, some pointed questions for the BJP. Please respond to what is being stated here by Sanjay Jha.
Madhav, first and foremost, I did not want to make this personal, but I will not say if this suspended leader comes, I will not do a debate. I don't have a problem debating with anyone, Madhav. I love coming on your shows, despite the fact that often, there are times when we get, fractious. That's the nature of the beast. But let me tell this suspended variety. First and foremost,
No, don't make it personal. Don't make it personal. Don't make it personal. I'm requesting everyone at every level to not make it personal, as well as him. Let's not. I've told you also, please address me. Please address me, Sanju Verma, just as I told Sanjay Jha. Please address me and speak. Go ahead. No, please don't. Sanjay Jha and Sanju Verma, please address me and speak. The others also on the panel. Yeah.
Madhav, when this man comes here and says that the Prime Minister is engaging in hate speech, I will tell you, Madhav, your audience needs to hear this. I'm tired of reckless allegations and mud being thrown at the BJP and at Prime Minister Modi. What did Rahul Gandhi say recently? अरे आपको पता है नरेंद्र मोदी क्या करता है? ये बहुत झूठ बोलता है और जब इसका झूठ पकड़ा जाता है ये थरथर कांपता है. जब ये थरथर कांपता है ये चीन की बात करता है. जब ये थरथर कांपता है तब ये पाकिस्तान की बात करता है. इस बार ये नरेंद्र मोदी बच नहीं पाएगा. This is the language of Rahul Gandhi, who's supposedly a PM aspirant. This is the language of Rahul Gandhi for a man who's at least 20 years his senior and is the sitting Prime Minister. So let the Congress not sit here and give us bhashan on ethics, on morality, and on the language that is used by BJP people, because I will repeat, सुप्रिया श्रीनेत ने कहा मंडी का रेट क्या चल रहा है और पूरा कांग्रेस कबाल ने
Okay. Let me come in on that now. Ghanshyam, I want to ask you one simple question. All political parties are raising questions about, the credibility of the data, 11-day release, so on and so forth. You must have heard what the Home Minister said. I'm sure you're aware of what is a Form 17C, Ghanshyam. The Form 17C is filed by or signed by polling agents of all the candidates in a constituency, at least whoever wants to have polling agents there. It is signed by the presiding officer. The Election Commissioner says that this entire data is recorded, and you can compare this on counting day with the exact number of votes that have been counted booth by booth, constituency by constituency, and that has pretty much been the practice for the past several decades. Why then are these questions being raised?
Good evening, Madhav, to you, the viewers and fellow co-panelists. There are three things. One, that there is no defense for election commissioner and election commission to come out with this data officially after 11 days. There cannot be a difference. All the votes will be counted in a single day. And the reports that you are showing to your viewers and the media has published shows roughly a 6% difference. We have 97 crore voters. A 6% difference is roughly 5 to 6 crore vote difference. And there's only one party who's absolutely happy about it. And that party right now stands against the democracy of India. That's the Bharatiya Janata Party. It has stood against the democracy of India when it stood for electoral bonds. It has stood against the democracy of India when the Prime Minister indulges in hate speech and dangerous propaganda. It stands against the democracy of India when from its Instagram handle it furthers the hate speech. So time and again we are saying that anything that can demolish the credibility of the Election Commission, create confusion among the voters about the actual number of votes, is cheered and celebrated by BJP because they somehow think that they will benefit out of it. This is a party where just now Sanjeev Verma was talking about, Home Minister was talking about. We have a Home Minister who in 2018 said that we are a party who can make lies and fake news viral. That was his statement. So for BJP to give certificate to Election Commission,
Ghanshyam, there's no problem with you attacking the BJP. That's par for course. There's no problem. But the point that I'm simply making is this, that whether it is our deserts, whether it is our forests, whether it is our mountains, whether it is our rivers, they have been here pretty much since 1947 and pretty much since the Representation of People Act came. And ever since then, we know how difficult it is for our polling officials to actually traverse into certain rural areas. And there are certain constituencies where it takes time for them to come back. And let me bring in Kailash Adhikari on that point. Kailash Adhikari, this is something which is very well known. It has always been the next day that the polling data has been updated. This time, perhaps the only thing that you can perhaps raise questions where opposition says is that it wasn't formally published or released, but Election Commission says it was there on the voter turnout app for all to see. That's pretty much in the public domain, they say.
Absolutely, Madhav. First point is that the Election Commission of India is not conducting the elections for the first time. India is the largest democracy and Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari said more than 970 million voters. And the Election Commission is very well aware of the mammoth exercise and the mammoth task that they have in hands. And they have been doing it beautifully since the past so many years. So, I mean, the opposition and the India Alliance trying to not find the true reason of countering the Bharatiya Janata Party, but now trying to deflect from the main mudda and trying to now find faults in the Election Commission is totally baseless. Rather than the India Alliance should actually focus on what their strategy is and how they will progress ahead with the elections, rather than pointing at the data of the Election Commission. Election Commission has come out in the open and said that the data was published in the Voter Awareness app. And we know that the first phase happened on 19th April, 102 constituencies. 26th April was the second phase of voting with 88 constituencies. More than 190 constituencies have voted. And the Election Commission has come out fair with the figures. So all this, tweet by Mr. Jairam Ramesh, the other leaders of the India Alliance coming and now hinting that there could be some foul play at hand and questioning the credibility of the EC has completely no base. And the voter is very intelligent in this country to understand that they actually have no point or locus standi in the elections to counter the work done by the Bharatiya Janata Party and the government.
Okay, let me bring in fact, Professor Monojit Bandal on this. Professor Monojit Bandal, at the end of the day, there are questions that were raised about EVMs. There was a Supreme Court verdict which pretty much set the record straight. There are questions, that have been raised as far as electoral bonds. All that data has been published by the Election Commission. Of course, you can always say that it was at the behest of the Supreme Court, but if the matter is being adjudicated by the Supreme Court, then certainly it would have to wait for it. The question being raised over here is this, that if the procedures, practices, laws have not really changed, at the end of the day, why is this criticism when pretty much the same procedure has been followed, is what the Election Commission is saying? Professor Mondal.
No, I think the delay is quite suspicious. The delay of 11 days, that has never happened in the recent history, especially after you have this level of technological advancement. You're talking about traveling and traversing to difficult terrain. I think those are things of the past now. And if that's really happening,
there are no remote villages in India, according to you now. There are no villages where people cross streams or in mountain terrain where they have to actually walk physically for several hours.
If I take your argument, then achhe din abhi aane wala hai. So what is the Prime Minister doing for the last 10 years? There is no development because kabhi par nahi hua. What is it? What are you talking about?
So you want the Prime Minister to change the forest terrain, to change the mountain terrain? Sir, what are you talking about, sir? I mean, there are parts of India which are rural. Let's admit it. This is not, one does not have to be, a BJP or a Congress or a left or a TMC supporter to know the ground reality of India.
How many difficult police stations? Not even 100. Not even 100 difficult police stations so far. So you can identify even 100 police. Out of 190 constituencies that went to poll, not even 100 difficult polling stations were identified.
Yes, and if there is a 0.1% discrepancy in data, then also you will be questioning the Election Commission, isn't it, sir?
Not 1.1%. There are, I think, several innumerable discrepancies between the data that was released on the day of the polling and now. There lies the problem.
Well, I can only tell you so much, sir. We are completely out of time, Professor Monijit Bandal. I've been very closely tracking the Election Commission, and a difference of 3 to 4% on the next day after polling is not unusual. It's pretty much the standard practice, whichever government has been in power, the BJP or the Congress at the center. And certainly, of course, there is some merit, at least in the Election Commission scheme. You can fault them for not publishing it, but certainly some merit in the fact that it was available in the voter turnout app data. Nevertheless, a controversy and, of course, a subject that will continue to be debated in the public domain. Thanks so much, Kailash Adhikari, Sanjay Jha, Professor Monijit Bandal, Ghanshyam Tiwari, and Sanju Verma for joining us this evening.